Hello crafty friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be creating a very clean and simple card design with some fun ombre stamping, fixing ink blending mistakes, some quick fixes, and a card design that can be easily mass produced. Before we get started, I would really appreciate if you could take a minute to subscribe to my channel and hit on the bell icon so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Let us first take a look at the stamp set that I'll be using today. I'm using the Mod Plants stamp, which was part of the latest Rain or Shine release by Simon's Stamp. Now, this is a very beautiful botanical themed stamp set with these fun plant silhouettes. You could use these floral images to create a very clean and simple card design like what we will be doing today, or create beautiful backgrounds, die cut focal points, and so much more. I also love the font on these sentiments. We have two bold sentiments which says hello and friend, and some sub sentiments which are so versatile that can be used for cards all around the year. We have you made my day, you make me smile, you brighten my day, and thankful for you. This stamp not only comes with a coordinating die but also comes with the Mod Plant block stencils that would be perfect to add a bold modern background to your botanical design. For stamping, I have my Simon's Stamp Positively Saturated inks in the shade Dublin, Lucky, and Pine. And also, since I mentioned I will be creating an ombre effect, I loved this combination. For the upper part of the flower, I have Punch and Zest, which is a beautiful combination of yellow and pink. I'll start by placing an A2 size panel into my stamping tool. Now for the card design that we are creating today, I would definitely recommend having a stamping tool since we will be stamping the same design multiple times in different shades of ink. I will start with the greens for my stem and leaves. We will begin by masking the stamp I like to use a small piece of post-it tape and I masked off the upper portion of the floral image with the post-it tape. I started with a lighter shade of green, which is Dublin, and stamped the entire image using this color. Make sure before you close the door of your stamping tool, you remove the post-it tape. After Dublin, I used the next shade, which was Lucky. Now for this, I did some partial stamping, which means that I didn't stamp the entire area using this color. I just stamped a part of it. Also, before closing the door of my stamping tool, I made sure that I used a mini ink blending tool to soften the edges of this Lucky shade. I repeated the same with Pine, bringing the shade more closer to the edge of the stamped image. You will notice there's a slight gap in that image. It's probably because I didn't condition my stamp very well. Usually new stamps need some kind of conditioning before you can ink them up. Also, this being a solid layer stamp, conditioning is more important here. Well, this is a problem that can be fixed, which is exactly what I'll be showing later in the video. Now, once I was done stamping the leaves and the stems, I will move on to the upper part of this floral image. Now I will be doing the same exact technique of ombre stamping, but for this part, instead of having the same color in different shades, I will be adding an ombre effect using two different colors. I will start with a bright pink that is Punch. I stamped it almost 3/4 of this floral image. Don't forget to mask your stem and leaves. I did use my mini ink blending tool to smoothen the edges, which will allow an easy blend into the yellow and not show up any harsh lines. For my yellow, I have Zest, and this will finish up the entire floral image. You will notice that I used bigger ink pads for my greens and the mini ink cubes for the petals. I would say I prefer using the mini ink cubes since that gives a lot more control when you're trying to partially ink up your image. I really love the color combination. The vibrant pink blending into the yellow gives a beautiful look to our floral image. Now, before I remove the panel from my stamping tool, I decided to stamp my sentiment. I went with the big bold hello sentiment and stamped it twice using my VersaFine Onyx black ink. While I was stamping the second time, I probably moved the paper and I got an overlap of the stamp which made my sentiment look a little distorted. Now, there are two ways you could fix that. Either you could keep this overlap distorted image as is and add some white highlights, or you could replace it by adding a sentiment strip. Well, I chose to add a sentiment strip. I stamped the same hello sentiment onto a strip of black cardstock and white heat embossed it. Well, I can say I was not very confident with the white highlights. That's the reason I went with a black sentiment strip instead. Before adding the sentiment strip in place, I decided to add some splatters onto this card front. I have some gold metallic watercolor and black watercolor splatters all over this image. Well, I lightly tap on my brush so that not big blobs of these watercolors fall on the card front. I let my panel dry completely before I fixed the empty little spaces on my stems and leaves, the little imperfections from the green stamping. The easiest way to fix this is using your alcohol markers in the shades that are close to the ink shades. Now, I had a couple of greens in my Ohuhu marker collection that I thought matched perfectly with the shades of green on our stamped image. And just like that, we fixed not one but two mistakes, or well, say imperfections, on our card panel. I adhered my sentiment strip using some liquid barely art glue. I like to use my T-square ruler when I'm trying to adhere my sentiments or align die-cut sentiments or stamps on my card fronts. Now, before I place this panel onto a top folding note card, I trimmed the panel to be 4 by 5 and quarter, which is slightly smaller than an A2 size card base. Using some foam tape, I adhered this panel onto my card base. I also added some highlights on my focal point image using my white gel pen. And that's a look at the finished card. I love how easy this was to create. Even though we had to fix some of our imperfections, I feel this card design to be perfect and can be easily mass produced using all those beautiful sentiments in our stamp set. Well, I did go ahead and create another card using a different floral image and a thankful for you sentiment. And I absolutely love how this project turned out. So here are two very similar designs, just that one card has a sentiment strip and a white highlight on the focal point image, while the other one is something that can be used as a single layer card project where the focal point image and the sentiment is stamped directly onto the card front. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video as much as I did creating these card projects. All the supplies that I used today will be linked down in the description box below. Please note that all of these links are affiliate links, which means that if you shop using one of my links, I get a small commission at no cost to you guys. Thank you again for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe.